Zerglings.
Oh. And then you're bringing your infestors in these battles, so you're fungal growthing the hellions, and are the zerglings the real damage dealers in your army, or are the ultralisks taking that role up a little more?
It depends because Ultralists are really strong against armored units now, but you need the Zerglings to basically kill all the light units which are in front of the um, armored
Huh.
units. But
Yeah.
as soon as the Ultralists reach a Thor or siege tank, they kill even the Thor is dead in like 5 seconds if an Ultralist reaches it.
Wow. I can't wait to see that sort of stuff happen in this game. All right, I'm coming back. All right, we will test your theory of Ultralisk being stronger than in Brood War. All right, so here I'm getting ready to resume in 3, 2, 1, play. I'm currently at 11 minutes and 23 seconds. And replay bar is not covered today, just so that way we can have a good sync up with Dario. Because again, I want to maximize the viewer pleasure. And of course, I want Dario to not be talking about something that's not happening. And then, of course, there's the classic Dario move, the Contaminate on the Armory to block the +1. How critical is that +1? Because I definitely have felt the pain of +1 when I'm going Mutalisks against a meching player, but I'm curious about you, considering you're going like Zergling Infestor for the most part.
Well, I don't believe it makes a lot of difference against Zerglings, but it is definitely important against Roaches and Ultralisks because
Uh-huh.
then Thors can two-shot Roaches again if you do some kind of splash damage, so that's pretty cool.
Uh-huh. Awesome. And of course, I do want to point out that this is increasingly the standard composition of mech these days, which is 2 factories with reactor and 2 factories with tech lab, and then as you build up more money, you just begin expanding. And one of the main reasons that mech is so popular on Metalopolis is because Terran has a lot of easy-to-take expansions. And, I mean, if you were going for Marine Marauder composition, you generally are a little bit more aggressive, and you're trying to get in your opponent's face, and your expansions are generally a little bit... I'll delay that. Yeah, I liked your fake drop there, TLO. That's pretty fancy. Is this a standard
Yeah, but
technique that you'd use on Metalopolis?
no, I misrallied my overload, so I lost an infestor as well. But I should do it in the future.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's something that definitely will screw mech up a ton, because Thors are so slow, and they're clunky, and they block everything up. And because they don't really do any damage to armored units anymore, I mean, we just saw that Thor do 2 huge shots to the Overlord, and it's, like, fine, so... I think that's definitely a good play. But, you know, going back to the whole ideology of mech on this map, I mean, look how easy... oh yeah, look at you talking the smack about your ultras. Look at how easy it is for Jinro to take this expansion as mech, and he can set it up really nicely, and with these sensor towers, he has great vision range of everything that's going on. Very standard, classic mech. I'm curious about your thoughts of taking the gold expansion. I know, for instance, on your end, you don't want to be taking your gold, because it's so close to your opponent, and he can push really easily, but what about Jinro taking his gold? Because that, in my experience, has been a lot stronger than taking this back natural.
I'm not quite sure. I believe his third expansion is probably easier to defend than the gold expansion.
Yeah.
For example, if I would expand to the expansion Jinro just expanded, I would try to set up a wall at the top ramp, so I would
Uh-huh.
have 2 small narrow ends to defend.
Yeah.
Because the gold expansion is it's really easily accessible,
Yeah.
and you're even further away from your main, so you're more vulnerable to drops in the main as well. So I believe
Yeah.
it's prudent. It's pretty prudent to expand to the normal expansion. But if you could maybe get a planetary fortress that's a gold expand, that might work as well.
Yeah, that's the real issue, I think, is that if a Meching Terran can actually get a planetary fortress up. So as Terran, I've been experimenting with, like, a push that just tries to get the planetary fortress up, and then retreat. Like, get into a really good position, you know, by the Zelnaga watchtower here, freak Zerg out, and then just happily pull back. Now, you have a lot of Overlords generating creep instead of the creep tumors. Is there a reason that your creep tumors aren't spread out as much? Is it because he's been very proactive about killing the creep tumors?
Yeah, I could have been a little bit more active. you know, I'm doing mistakes as well, but Jinro also killed a couple of creep tumors with his hellions, I believe. So I took the different option you have as Zerg. And I mean, if as long as Terran doesn't have Vikings, you can basically spread your creep all over the map with overlords.
Seems reasonable enough. And of course, there's more of this Hellion harass going on, and he's doing more cooking of the Zerglings. And I mean, these Hellions did do a pretty decent amount of damage to your Zergling force, but I think they did a lot less damage than people want to give the Hellions credit for. Because, I mean, people just sort of assume that, oh yeah, if you have 4 Hellions, you can kill infinity Zerglings, and oh my god, there's your huge fungal growth on these Hellions up north. And look at how happy this Roach is, or this Ultralisk is. Just getting tasty Hellions. He's still Predator ranked, so we'll see if he can level up by game's end. But I do notice you're continuing to expand along the bottom half. I see you're favoring a lot of gas. Are you treating this like Starcraft 1 style, where you favor extractors over anything else against your opponent?
Yeah, as soon as you have 3 bases mining minerals, you basically only need the extractors. So you should just take 6 drones for your expansion, maybe spread your drones from all your expansion so you're mining at all bases, but you don't want to get too many drones as Zerg, because if you have like 100 drones, you won't have enough supply for a capable army anymore.
And I'm also noticing you do this burrowing play with the Infestors, where you pick off all his units by the planetary fortress. Do you think this is standard harassment? Because you, of all people, tend to use Contaminate and Infestors a lot more than other players. And do you think it's a flaw in their play? Like, do you think this Infestor play will consistently work, or do you think it's more the fact that Jinro just didn't have turrets everywhere?
Well, you can easily prevent it with turrets, but you have to think about it. Terrans are lacking a lot of turrets right now, so if they are forced to build turrets everywhere to be able to defend against bird units, you will be a lot better at Zerg as well, because then he has to spend minerals on defense he doesn't want to spend on minerals on defense.
And I'm noting that you're doing a drop down here at the same time that you're hitting the top, and you're also just expanding a lot along the bottom. So it seems like you are doing everything you can to expand away from your opponent, and then just like hit him in a million places at once. It seems like very StarCraft 1 style, Zerg vs Mech.
Yeah, I believe it's pretty much like StarCraft 1. People should treat StarCraft 2 a lot more than like StarCraft 1, I believe, in many matchups.
And I do also want to point out that these siege tanks, in this game, siege tanks do 10 more damage than in the current patch. This is the version where the base damage of a siege tank was 60 instead of the recent change to 50. So that's another thing to note. That, I mean, I'm watching you play, and Jinro hasn't even really had a chance to attack yet. You've just been like barreling him to death with huge numbers of units. And I mean, like, I'm seeing all your Ultralisks swing up here. Now, I know that there are really not that many units of Jinro's up at this North Expo, but he still seems to be dealing decently well with this big Ultralisk push. Do you think this is, like, normal looking? Because I know a lot of players get disheartened when they see their Ultralisks fall this easily to that small number of units.
Ultralisks aren't that expensive. I mean, if you have like 8 tanks, and you kill 8 tanks with 5 or 4 Ultralisks, you're fine. I mean, you do have more expansion to a Zerg player, so you can sacrifice a little bit more of resources into units than the Terran player can.
And you use Ultralisk Burrow. Oh my god. And look, he fits nice and neatly into a cute little spiked triangle on the ground. Oh, that's so awesome. You know, that's the first time I've ever seen an Ultralisk Burrow in my life. That is so cool. And it looks like you're just continuing to counterattack. Is your plan literally just abuse his immobility, continue to upgrade, and eventually win?
Yeah, you can't face a Terran army in a straight up fight if he's sieged up, but you can abuse his immobility. And if he attacks, he will be so slow because he will always have to siege up, and you can win some time with fungal growth, so that you can just counterattack all the time.
So just a lot of counterattacking, and I'm going to pause right now. I'm pausing the game at 21 minutes and 51 seconds. I noticed that in a lot of your Terran versus Zergs, where you are going mech, that you incorporate a lot more Vikings into the mix. I've especially seen you do this against Sen a lot recently, because you seem to play him in every single tournament that exists anywhere. Um, what are your thoughts on dealing with a lot of Vikings with what you're doing? Because it seems like you have virtually no anti-air except the Infestors and the Queens.
Yeah, well, I have seen that he's not going Viking, so I decided not to get any anti-air. But I believe
Huh.
as long as you have some infestors, you can deal with Viking heroes long enough that you can get Hydralists to deal with the Vikings as well. So I could just build like 5 spore colonies, so I'm stalling time again,
Yeah.
and Hydralists don't take that long to be produced. And I believe a mech is only really strong against this Ultra Link build if you have a very effective 200 supply army,
Hmm.
and you